In 1969, humanity landed a man on the moon. This absolutely crazy, previously unachievable task took thousands of PhDs, years of research, and trillions of dollars in combined effort. Not to mention absolute faith and belief in the fact that it would work. Now imagine you making $1 million, earning it while doing what you love and being happy, successful, and fulfilled. Is a life like this really that hard to achieve? Absolutely not. We landed a man on the moon, and you're trying to tell me that you can't make $1 million? Everything you've been taught is wrong. Hey, welcome back to the How to Make Your First Million course, where we dive deep into achieving the good life, into achieving your freedom lifeline, into making your first $1 million, doing what you love, reaching that state of being and that peak level of existence where you wake up in the morning with a spring in your step. You know that you're on your life path, what you're meant to be doing, you're following your personal destiny, and you have a successful business that is in line with what you're meant to be doing. You're helping people around the world through your business, selling your product or service, and you're amazing at it. You're in the top 5% of people in your chosen craft or your chosen industry. Now, if you just stumbled onto this course, I want to give you a warm welcome. My name is Dan Vas, and I'm a successful entrepreneur and CEO of a multi-million-dollar online business education company where we help thousands of people around the world, tens of thousands of people around the world start successful online businesses and rewire their mindsets to achieve success and to achieve the good life. The reason why I titled this course, How to Make Your First Million, is because I believe that every single person, if they only knew how to achieve their personal destiny, and if they only knew how to achieve their freedom lifeline, if they only knew the secrets of the most successful people and the secrets that, these secrets I've personally learned myself through my own entrepreneurial journey, going from broke to successful, going from broke to finding what I love, finding my passion, finding the right business for me, and also building the successful company of 15 people, helping people around the world start successful online businesses, building this YouTube channel, right? Finding my craft and my life work. I've learned this stuff through my own blood, sweat, and tears, putting in the work, figuring out what it takes to achieve success and doing it, taking action on it, and achieving success, achieving the good life. And this course isn't only about making $1 million, right? You might be asking me, okay, well, when are you actually going to tell me the steps, the exact steps I have to take, the business I have to start, or the product I should launch, for e-commerce, or the stock I should buy, or, the industry I should get into to make $1 million. It's not about that, okay? So even though this program is called How to Make Your First Million, what this program is all about is it's a transformational system where I've assembled basically every single step you need to make your first million. And the only way to make your first million is if you actually follow your personal destiny, if you achieve your freedom lifeline. And once you're on your freedom lifeline, everything will come together. You will make your first $1 million doing what you love, and you'll be happy, fulfilled, and successful. One of my favorite types of music to listen to is soundtracks from famous movies. And I listen to that genre in the morning when I wake up just to inspire me. I listen to that before going to the gym as like a pre-workout, right? It's amazing. And, every time I listen to, just for example, the amazing Inception soundtrack by Hans Zimmer, anything by Hans Zimmer, right? I'm sure that you've heard, if you've watched Interstellar, if you watched Inception, if you watch any movie like that, then you've heard of Hans Zimmer, you've heard his music. Every time I listen to any of those songs that he wrote and that he composed, because he's a composer, it's so powerful, it's so moving. And even the smallest sound, it's like everything is perfect. And I think to myself, I remember I was thinking to myself, I was listening to the Interstellar soundtrack, and I was thinking to myself, wow, if I was Hans Zimmer, I'm standing in front of this orchestra playing this music and it's recording. I have to be able to detect the smallest change, the smallest, even instrument that's off key. And, that's what I'm imagining when, like, obviously if I'm pretending that I'm like Hans Zimmer, I'm putting myself in his shoes. And that's exactly how composers actually think. The orchestra, right, that plays this incredible music, everything has to be perfect. Everything has to be like perfectly synergistic. All the instruments have to work together. And I don't know if you've ever had the chance to actually go to, for example, like a ballet, like a live ballet, or like a live performance where there was an orchestra playing. It's absolutely incredible because you're sitting there and everything is just like working perfectly. All the instruments are in perfect unison with each other. Everything is like, it's like everything is on key. Everything is just perfectly synergistic. And if I compare that to achieving success and making your first million, doing what you love, it's the exact same thing. To make your first million, there really has to be a synergy in your life. And that brings me to what this course is all about. And what it's all about is putting you on that higher plane of existence where your life is everything is in perfect synergy and you feel at peace. You're on your journey. You're achieving your personal destiny or your personal legend, as we covered in The Alchemist. There's a book that I mentioned in one of the previous episodes. By the way, this program that I designed in a specific way so that you watch one episode or one lesson a day. And if you haven't watched either lesson 1 or lesson 2, which came before this, I highly recommend you watch them. I mean, it's not even a recommendation. You absolutely should. You should pause this and go begin with the first lesson if you just started this kind of like midway, because you've missed out on all those other things that I talked about, which are so important, because you can't just skip to a random lesson in this course, like lesson 6 or something, lesson 7, without watching the first ones, because you won't understand. It won't mean the same to you. Right? And how I designed this is that layer by layer, we are digging deeper and deeper into the success mindset. And slowly, your brain is being reprogrammed so that by the end of this course, you will be on your freedom lifeline. Most people nowadays, they only see surface level. And most people, they're hanging around, wasting time on social media, on TikTok, just like constantly being distracted and, not understanding how our life, in general, it's not that long. Like, it's pretty short relative to the universe and the stars and everything like that. Every single day counts. And most people, they'll only see the surface level of things, and, they spend their time doing just like mindless activities, just being distracted, allowing themselves to just be consumed in this world of social media and distraction. It really takes a special kind of person to understand how powerful the system that I'm teaching here really is. And that's why I'm so happy to have you here, because if you understand, if you really feel that, okay, there's a reason why you came to this course. There's a reason why this course was brought to you. Maybe it's the universe, maybe the stars aligned. But there's a reason you're here, and you believe that now is your chance, where you really think that in the next 3, 6 months, a year, you will achieve the good life. You will achieve your version of the good life and your freedom lifeline. Well, that's the exact kind of person that I want to be teaching this to, because this stuff didn't come to me easy. Like I said, this is from my own personal journey, going from broke, going from someone who was lost and who basically had to find and figure out his own way in life, who grew up in an immigrant family in Canada and who had to figure out his own way in life. The reason I'm making this course is because my life mission is to build the world's greatest freedom and success movement. And by making this course, I only want to attract winners, people on the rise, people who are, ascending higher and higher. They're making money. They're reaching their freedom lifelines. They're achieving their personal destiny. I don't want people who are naysayers. I don't want, average people who just don't commit to success and they have a freedom lifeline that's waiting for them, but they don't actually take the action to get there, right? I don't want those people. And those people likely have already left this part of YouTube, and they've already, gone back to TikTok or whatever they're doing. So now that you're here and all the other people have left, now I am ready to introduce to you the next lesson in the How to Make Your First Million course. And I call this the ultimate enemy of success. And it's called drifting. So what is drifting? And why do I call it the ultimate enemy of success? Basically, most people are drifting around in life. They're drifting around, not knowing what they're doing, not having any clear focus in their life. They're doing many things at once. Maybe they're working multiple jobs, they're pursuing multiple careers, they're pursuing multiple businesses at the same time, and they're basically chasing 2, 3, 4, 5 rabbits at the same time. You know the famous saying, chase 2 rabbits, you'll catch none. Very famous saying. I think it was by Confucius. And most people, that's how they live their life. And I can tell you personally, that's how I was living my life before I embarked on my journey to success. I was a jack of all trades, master of none, like the definition of. I was waking up in the morning with no clear, real purpose in my life, just trying to figure things out. And I spent a long time. I spent years in that state. And I tried a bunch of different jobs. I was trying a bunch of different businesses. I had this idea of the more I do, the better, because then I'll have a higher chance of succeeding at something, when it was the furthest thing from the truth. Most people spend their lives in this state forever. They just spend their lives drifting nonstop, just like no clear focus in their life. If I went up to a person on the street, just any random person, and I asked them, where do you see yourself in a year or 2 years? What are you focusing on right now? Most people will have no idea how to answer that question. They'll literally be taken aback, and they'll be like, whoa, you're asking way too difficult of a question. I'm just trying to survive and pay my bills, man. That's what most people will say. And then, what happens after a lifetime of drifting? Well, you get a random outcome. If you drift for 3 years, for 5 years, for 10 years, you're basically giving life permission to just throw you a random outcome. And that's how people end up broke, miserable, average, living mundane, boring lives, watching people online just living their dream lives and seriously just wondering why that can't be them and how they got so lucky, when in reality it wasn't luck at all. It was the fact that they chose to ignore the success principles. They chose to ignore this embarking on the personal destiny, everything that we covered before here in this program and what we're covering here now in this lesson in the future. So that's what drifting is. Now, what does a drifter look like? And there are very common telltale signs here. So the first sign is a drifter never accomplishes anything that requires thought and effort, right? So basically they just take the easy way in life. Anything that actually requires hard work, anything that actually requires, thinking for themselves, anything that requires real effort, they're just like, nah, screw that. I can just sit on my couch and watch TV. I can just watch Netflix. Like, this is too difficult, right? That's the classic drifter. The next one is the total lack of self-confidence. So anytime they're thinking of like, oh, maybe it'd be cool to, start this business or start a YouTube channel or pursue this particular career, pursue this avenue in life, they their lack of self-confidence just completely destroys them from the very beginning. And they automatically get these thoughts of like, nah, I'm not good enough. Who do you think you are? Right? So that's a total lack of self-confidence. Successful people have a very high level of self-confidence, very high self-esteem. And I can tell you that myself, I had to build this up for me too. Like, I would say I have a very high confidence and a very high level of self-esteem, but I didn't have that before. It's something that came as I embarked on my own personal journey to success. And it'll come to you as well when you are on your journey and you're reaching your personal destiny. The next telltale sign of a drifter is a drifter spends all that he or she, right? And when I say he, I'm also referring to she as well. So all that he or she earns, and even more if they can get credit. And we've all known someone who has like 5 or 10 credit cards. Literally they're applying for every single credit card. They're all maxed out. They're just paying like the minimum balance every month. And they never have enough money. I mean, as soon as they get a new credit card, they just spend the whole thing and they pretend that that's just like money in their bank account. And the sad part is that most people are like this. If you type in average household debt in the United States, for example, or average household debt in Canada, right, you'll find the average household debt is like tens of thousands of dollars. It's crazy. The average person literally carries like tens of thousands of dollars of credit card debt. And it's just like, it's mind-boggling because credit card companies, they know this, and they know this very well. They know that there's like this illusion that credit cards give to people who are not self-developed, I would say, to people who, do not operate by the success mindset of like, no, earn your money first, then you can go and spend it, right? And I'm not saying using credit cards is wrong. I'm just saying that, the classic telltale sign of a drifter is someone who just basically runs their entire life on credit all the time. Credit card companies know this and they take advantage of this. And that's how they really dig poor people into big holes. Like, they make them poorer and poorer and they harass them. That's why it's a terrible place to be. Another telltale sign of a drifter is, health problems. They're constantly imagining health problems that they're having. They're dying from some imaginary cause. They're constantly making up reasons why they're unhealthy or why, they're unfocused or why they're tired or something like that. And they call it to the high heavens if they suffer the least amount of physical pain, right? So that's another telltale sign of a drifter, someone who's constantly imagining health problems that don't actually exist for themselves. And I really believe that most health problems that people get, they actually think themselves into getting sick. I really believe that. A drifter will also have little to no imagination. I mean, they're not coming up with any original ideas at all. They also show a complete lack of enthusiasm and initiative to begin anything that they're not actually forced to do. So they only do things that they're forced to do. Like, for example, that's why, they hate their 9-to-5 jobs, but they still wake up in the morning and they go there because they're forced to do it, or else they're not going to be able to, buy food and basically live and pay off their, their rent and their debt and their mortgage and things like that. Right? So they only do the things that they're forced to do. They're never going to do more. Telltale sign of a drifter. Another one is, they take the road of least resistance. And that's a very classic telltale sign of, I would say, most people nowadays. Most people live very comfortable lives, and they always take the path of least resistance. I'll tell you right now, right off the bat, if you want to succeed, you will have to fight this urge of taking the path of least resistance. When things get hard, you will have to push through. You can't just, it's not like the gym where you go and, you said, okay, I'm going to run today on the treadmill for an hour. And after 20 minutes, you just give up because it's too difficult. This is not how it works, right? You can't give up. If you give up, you fail, and then you give up on your dreams, and then, you join all the other crabs in the bucket. We talked about the crabs in the bucket mentality, where if you have 10 crabs and one tries to climb out, the other ones will pull them down. You'll join those other 9 crabs. You'll be pulling everyone else down. So don't be that person. Don't take the path of least resistance, or else you'll basically become jaded, meaning that you'll just kind of give up and you'll say, nah, you'll go back to that mindset of success is for those people who get lucky, and all rich people were born into money, and rich people are evil, and rich people are all douchebags, and the only way they made their money was through deception and through lying and through taking advantage of other people, when it's the furthest thing from the truth. Like, rich people, actually, the reason how they got rich is that they provided jobs to the economy. They provided extreme amounts of value in the form of products or services to people, where people thought that they were actually worthy enough of giving their hard-earned money to. No one is stupid enough in this world to give someone their hard-earned money if the other person didn't deserve it, if the company didn't deserve it, right? Like, believe me, there's a famous quote, and I mentioned this earlier, by Charlie Munger: to get what you want, you must deserve what you want. The world isn't a stupid and yet enough place to reward undeserving people, right? So remember that, okay? And drifters, obviously, they think that they deserve the world when in fact they deserve nothing, right? Because they're always taking the path of least resistance. Drifters also have a very boring personality. They show no magnetism towards other people. They're not charismatic at all. I mean, no one wants to hang out with them, and they're almost kind of like a chore to be with. A drifter, this is also a very funny sign, but it's classic. I've met a lot of people like this. They'll have a lot of opinions on various subjects, right? Like on politics, on money. They'll always be the first to give advice. They'll always be the first to give you advice on money, and they'll always tell you, who's the right politician and everything like that. But they actually have no accurate knowledge of anything, right? The classic sign is, when you tell a drifter that, okay, you're planning on achieving success, you're planning on starting a certain business, and they start to give you money advice, and they're literally broke, by the way, and they start to tell you, what's going to work and what's not going to work, and they're telling you that, oh, the stock market is a great way to make money, or whatever, or cryptocurrency, buy Bitcoin. This is the one that we've seen a lot of times, right? So, that's the classic sign of a drifter. Like, you only want to take advice from people who are non-drifters, and we're going to get to what a non-drifter is, but it's basically the opposite of a drifter. It's someone who is on their path. They're on their path, they're focused in life. They're respecting that 5% rule, where they've reached the heights of their industry, their chosen craft, where they're in the top 5%, because the world is too competitive of a place to reward people who are in the bottom 95% of any craft. Only the top 5% get rewarded. That's why I've been, getting rewarded in my life, because I reached the top 5% in this, my industry, in e-commerce and online business, and in self-development on YouTube, and in, making mindset videos and things like that. The next telltale sign of a drifter is they're a jack of all trades, master of none. Just like I was when I was starting out. I was doing a bunch of things. I was trying out so many different businesses at the same time, thinking that the more I do, the more success, or the higher the chances of success that I'll have, and it was the furthest thing from the truth. When I actually learned about this whole concept of drifters versus non-drifters, that's when I realized that I had to commit to pursuing one thing, and really commit to one business, commit to one vision of my life. Not pretending that other businesses that I shouldn't be doing were actually for me. I wasn't honest with myself. Many people are not honest with themselves because, money is scarce for them, and they're willing to do anything to make money. When in reality, you don't have to go that far. You can really, all you have to do is, like you've been following the steps here in this program, you have to do what's meant for you. There's actually a lesson coming up later on in the course, which is walking through your own door. And I talk all about that. I go deep into how everyone has a door, and it's so important to walk through your door. If you're meant to be a world famous DJ and producer and composer of music, that's what you should do, okay? And the only way to figure that out is to embark on your own personal journey to success. That's the only way, okay? There is no other way. No one's gonna come and tell you that, hey, Dan, in 5-10 years, you're going to be this, and if you want to live the best life, you're going to have to, become a DJ, or start an online business, or start this company. No one's going to tell you that. The only way to learn that is to embark on your journey and to stop drifting. And I'm going to bring it back to this lesson here on the topic of drifting, which is the ultimate enemy of success. And I'm going to talk about how to prevent yourself from drifting, and how to make sure that you are focused and you are going at lightning speed, like you're going down the highway at 130 kilometers per hour, 140, 150 even, towards your personal destiny. And you're not stuck on the sidewalk. You're not stuck kind of mumbling around the neighborhood trying to figure out where to go. Okay, that's most people. They're kind of walking around the sidewalk, mumbling to themselves, trying to figure out where to go. Right? So you're going to be on the highway. You're going to be on the highway to success after this program. I guarantee it. Now, the next telltale sign of a drifter is, and this is a classic one, they make the same mistakes over and over again, never profiting from failure. Right? So they keep making the same dumb mistakes, and they never learn from their mistakes, even if the mistakes weren't dumb. Right? Even if, they could have happened to any rational person. Right? They never learn from them, and it keeps happening to them. So that's another sign. Right? Successful people, they learn from their mistakes and they make sure to never make the same mistake again. Drifters are also very narrow-minded and they're intolerant of other people disagreeing with them. And this is on any subject. I mean, they're literally ready to crucify those who disagree with them. And that's how narrow-minded they are. They're just like, nope, if someone disagrees with me, they're the enemy and I'm right and I know I'm right. And they have this level of arrogance, even though, they haven't done any research, even though they haven't even asked themselves the question of wait, maybe they're right. How can I assume that, I'm so right and be this arrogant, right? A lot of people and all drifters, they're like this. They're literally just, the first to give you their opinion on something. And if you disagree with them, they're literally ready to just like slam you against the wall and crucify you. So those were all the telltale signs of a drifter. Now, as I was mentioning those telltale signs, did you feel like you fell into any one of those? Did you feel like potentially, at some moments in your life, maybe now, you demonstrated those behaviors? And it's totally normal. I can tell you, when I was starting out, I would have probably checked off most of these things, for sure. It really takes someone who has gone through their own self-development, who has reached their freedom lifeline, or has done significant work on themselves by, for example, going through a transformational course like this, where you're literally given a system, where I'm giving you a system, all the best ideas that have made me successful and wealthy beyond my wildest dreams. So if you do feel this way, if you felt like some of those things, you are doing them actively right now, and you've at least demonstrated those behaviors maybe now or in the past, that's totally normal. It's fine, because now you're on the right journey. You're on the journey towards your personal destiny, towards your freedom lifeline. This also means that this particular lesson is more valuable to you than anyone else. The classic drifter permits themselves to be influenced by circumstances outside of their own mind and also controlled by them as well. A drifter is someone who permits themselves to be influenced and controlled, literally controlled by circumstances outside of their own mind, outside even of their own life. They're the classic, they're playing the victim mentality. Nothing is their fault. Everything is the fault of their boss, their government, their upbringing, everything except themselves, right? They're literally just putting the blame on everything else, and they're kind of walking around with their hands up, and they're just miserable, and they're just jaded almost. They're just giving up on life. Classic drifter. So many people are like this. And also, a drifter is someone who accepts whatever life throws their way without making any protest against it or putting up a fight. So, if they're trying to find a job, they'll literally take anything. Even though they hate the job, they'll still take it because they operate out of the scarcity mentality, and they think that money is a difficult resource to generate. They don't understand the law of money, where all you have to do to make money is find a way to provide enough value in the form of a product or service to other people, or to someone at least. That's how all money is made in the world. Money just doesn't come. Rich people just don't generate money. They don't enter an unlimited money cheat and they're it's not like a video game where you put an unlimited money cheat, okay? And also, rich people, they don't sit in a bathtub bathing in their money and counting their coins or whatever, like how a lot of poor people think. They think that, rich people are just sitting there and they're greedy and they're counting their money and they're like, ha ha ha, I have all this money and everyone else doesn't and I'm so happy, right? There are people like that for sure. There are people that are literally so happy to just bathe themselves in their money, and they're just wow, they're really just, their whole life purpose is the fact that they have so much money and everyone else doesn't. Those people, I can tell you, they're not happy. They're they live very sad lives, and they're sad themselves. If you see someone in a Ferrari driving around, you might think, oh, they're happy, they have a Ferrari. No. It's the furthest thing from the truth. Not everyone who drives a Ferrari is happy automatically. This is the lie that the classic 9-to-5 mentality kind of perpetuates, right? Just because you see someone in a Lamborghini or Ferrari, yes, it means that they did make money, right? You don't know. Literally, they could have bought it financed. Most cars on the road nowadays are completely just financed, right, on credit. So you don't even know if they even own the car. The bank probably owns the car because the bank owns most cars on the road. And the second thing is the vast majority of rich people, they're good people. They're not bad people. The few bad apples that there are in the world, they're miserable. And, reality will catch up to them. Karma will catch up to them. It's always this way, right? The world balances itself out, good versus evil. The only way to really live a good life is to find what you're meant to be doing, pursue your own calling, and help people in, the form of a product or service, or, just doing something for others. That's literally how all money is made, helping other people. By pursuing the very selfish desire for money, in turn, to get the money, you have to basically be the most unselfish person in the world. You have to help others. As I mentioned before in this program, in the last lesson, I made this course for free. If you noticed, I didn't charge any money for this. There's nothing else like this on YouTube where it's such a transformational system. There are mindset courses out there that are less detailed than this, that cost $500, $1,000. And I decided to release this for free Why? You might think, why is he doing this? Why couldn't he just charge money, right? He could make so much money from this. And yes, I could have, but then only 500 or 1,000 people would have seen it, because I estimate that's how many people would have bought the course at that price, because it is pretty high, right? And so because I know how transformational of a system this is, because I've seen how powerful it is in my own life and in the thousands of people that I've coached through my own company and through my YouTube channel as well, I know that there will be so many millionaires that come out of this. I know that there will be so many people who go on, they achieve their freedom lifelines, they achieve their personal destiny, or they're on their personal destiny, and they make a tremendous amount of money, they're happy, they're fulfilled, maybe they find their life partner, and they're doing what they love every single day. And so as you can see, it looks like the most unselfish thing in the world for me to do, to make this course for free, spend my time here, get this whole production going, hire a videographer who's helping me do this, get all the equipment, pay for this entire trip up here in northern Norway, sitting in this beautiful cabin, which I'm so grateful to be here, by the way. It's so important to always put yourself in an inspiring environment, because that is what's going to lift your spirit up. It's what's going to allow you to dream big. And for me, Norway really helps me with that, because every time I'm here, it's kind of like my place. I've visited many times, and especially out here, the scenery is fantastic. The mountains, like the ocean, it's just something else, right? So, through pursuing this very unselfish work that I'm doing here, I'm also pursuing my very selfish desire for money. How? Well, I know that you watching right now, you're going to finish this course and your life will change, inevitably, guaranteed. You're going to get to your freedom lifeline, all these success principles, even one or even two. They have, if you watch any of the lessons, if you only watch like one or two, the principles are so powerful that I'm teaching, that how much your life will change, it's going to be massive. And I know that later on, because I do run a company that helps people build successful online businesses and also, achieve success, achieve the good life. I know that potentially in the future, you might become a customer of ours, and that would be amazing. But even if you don't, it's also cool. No problem. It's even better because, I know that out of everyone who watches this, like for me, my life purpose is not to get the most amount of customers. For me, it's to build the greatest freedom and success movement of all time, and assemble people on the rise, assemble people who are ambitious and who are achieving the good life, make friends with people around the world, because it is lonely at the top. I'm telling you, it's not, there's not that many people who are operating at this level of thinking, right? So that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to assemble like-minded people. I'm trying to build this tribe of people around the world that are pursuing their dreams and they're living their freedom lifeline. So that was a great explanation of, me, I'm pursuing my selfish desire for money, right? Because every human has this selfish desire for money and what do I have to do that? Well, I have to be very, very unselfish about how to go about it, right? I have to do very unselfish things to do that. And that's exactly why rich people are good. Because most rich people, they're the least selfish people in the world. And this is exactly why. Now, if we go back to drifting, and I really have to emphasize, this is really so important. This is so important to realize. The telltale sign of a drifter, when you meet someone, and you'll notice, is that they totally lack any major purpose in life. They're just living. They don't have any major purpose in life. And even if they're telling you they're happy, a human can't be happy without a major purpose in life. We're all designed to build, okay? And as I mentioned before, there are billions of galaxies out there. We're just dust, compared to the size of the universe. And if you want something in your life, you have to build it. You have to build it. And to build it, you have to do it through finding your own major life purpose, which lies on your freedom lifeline. To give you a personal story of mine, what my life looked like when I was drifting. I was lost. I was undecided. I was literally just facing a quarter life crisis. I didn't even know what it was called at the time. And then I Googled it and, what I was, basically how I was lost, unfocused. I was like, what do I do with my life? I'm 20 years old. And I found out that there was something called a quarter life crisis, and that it was becoming more and more common with people around the world because of the way that society works now. In the past, if you were a Smith, or if you were born into the Robin family, if you were born into, for example, the Cohen family, right? You would just follow in your family's lifeline. You would either be like a gunsmith or a carpenter or, a builder, right? So you just follow in your family's footsteps, and your destiny was already pre-decided for you, unless you really kind of abandoned your whole way of living and you kind of went out and pursued your own freedom lifeline. You still could have done that. There were people that did that. There are stories of Leif Erikson, who pursued his own freedom lifeline. He was a Viking explorer, and Leif Erikson, he left, I think it was Iceland. He was born in Iceland, and he decided to explore the new land, and he got to Greenland, he got to Canada, actually. The Vikings were the first to get to Canada, not Christopher Columbus, not how he got to America, not Jacques Cartier, and not Samuel de Champlain. It was actually the Vikings. So when I was facing this quarter life crisis of mine, I wanted to succeed so bad. I was pushing myself every single day to figure out. I mean, little did I know I was already on my journey to success, just by trying to figure out every single day. I was searching. Remember that quote, ask and you shall receive. If you search, you shall find. The door will be open to you, right? I was already searching. But what I didn't realize at the time was that if I concentrated all of my energies into one area of focus, into one business, into one path, I would achieve success so much faster. And as soon as I did that, that's when I achieved success. I actually read this fantastic book called Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill actually wrote two very famous books. The first one was Think and Grow Rich, and the second one was Outwitting the Devil. Think and Grow Rich is his most famous work. Outwitting the Devil, he actually wrote that, and it was kind of like an interview between him and the devil in his most trying moments of his life. He was facing a crisis. I don't remember exactly what it was in the book, but you'll read it and you'll see, you absolutely should read this book. It is incredibly life-changing. It's huge. And in the book, he made it in a format where it's him interviewing the devil, and he's really kind of digging into the devil's mindset and trying to get the devil to tell him, hey, what is the major cause of failure? How do you hook on to people's lives and make them miserable, make them broke, make them sad and depressed? And, then he gets the answers from the devil. And obviously, I'm not sure if this actually happened or not, but it is incredible. And the devil talks about how his main weapon, his number one weapon against most people and making most people broke and miserable their entire life, is he gets them to drift through inducing fear, the fear of poverty, the fear of ill health, the fear of just being rejected by your family, by your friends, by your loved ones. Everything changed for me when I read this one poem that was quoted in the book, and I'm actually going to read it for you here. I have it pulled up. It was Invictus by William Ernest Henley, and I'm going to read it right now. Out of the night that covers me, black is the pit from pole to pole. I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud, under the bludgeonings of chance. My head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears, looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how strait the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate, and I am the captain of my soul. And when I read this book, especially those last words, I'm the master of my fate and I'm the captain of my soul, those words were so powerful that they stuck with me ever since. And when I heard them, when I read those words in the book, it was like my entire world shook. I remember, I think I even made, back then Instagram didn't have stories, I think I made a Snapchat story about it. And my friends, they commented on it and they were like, wow, that was really intense. And so basically it was a poem written by this poet. His name was William Ernest Henley. And what William was talking about in the poem is how important it is to show willpower and strength in the face of adversity. The most testing times in people's lives, and there will always be testing times. Life, just the nature of life is that it's ups and downs. Success is never linear, right? We've all heard the stories of people who, they've made millions and they lost it all and then they made it again. Or people who have reached massive success in some avenue. They became a world famous athlete, or they became a world famous artist or celebrity or rapper or something like that. We all heard of stories of rappers going broke soon after they get famous. Adversity happens to all of us. It's the nature of life. But adversity is good. And the reason why it's good is because life is a test. And basically, if you look at adversity in this way where any obstacles that you face, any hurdles that you have to get over, if you look at them with this mindset of, am I able to stay on my path? Am I able to overcome these obstacles, right? And am I able to overcome this specific test? Am I able to show to life that I am worthy of success and of the good life? Then you will be worthy of success and of the good life, and you will have it for the rest of your life. I've had thousands of tests just in the last few years, and I overcame every single one of them. I mean, some were harder to overcome than others, but it's a normal part of life. And so, just like William said in his poem, I am the master of my fate and I am the captain of my soul, and it matters not how strait the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll, right? It's exactly the same as with life. If life tests you, just see it as a way of life asking you and testing if you're worthy of success or not. With every experience of temporary defeat or failure, and with every form of adversity comes the seed of an equivalent benefit. And if you see the world that way, your entire existence changes, because nothing can stop you from the good life. Nothing can stop you from your personal destiny. Nothing can come between you and success if, no matter what happens to you, If it's good, great. If it's a bad thing, well, the truth is that there is always a solution to every legitimate problem, no matter how difficult it is. In the book, and this is in Napoleon Hill's words, he said that every great leader of the past whose record I've examined, and he studied the likes of Andrew Carnegie and Rockefeller and all the most famous titans of the era who were like literally billionaires, like the world's greatest people at the time. He said that they were all beset by difficulties and they met with temporary defeat before arriving, and sometimes that defeat was huge. And they found a way to get over it. They found a way to beat life's tests and come out victorious on the other side. One thing that I've learned in my own life, and this really changed everything for me, is that there are always two sides to everything. There is fear and there is faith. There's positivity and there's negativity. Successful people, they view the world in a positive way. Everything that happens to them, they view it with faith and with positivity. Meanwhile, poor people and people who aren't on their life path, people who are not on their freedom lifeline, they're not following their personal destiny, they're viewing everything negatively, like literally everything. They respond in a negative way and they're very fear driven. I mean, they're literally afraid of everything. They're afraid, they're not going to be able to pay their bills. They're afraid the bank's going to come after them. They're afraid the creditors are going to come after them. They're afraid they're going to get fired from their job. In Outwitting the Devil, Napoleon Hill asked the devil like how he discourages people. And the devil said that he discourages people from accumulating material wealth because poverty discourages men and women from thinking and makes them easy prey. So this whole mindset of like rich people are bad and, dedicating your life to the pursuit of wealth and money is bad. This all stems from the poverty mindset. This all stems from the fact that poor people are easy prey and they want to justify the fact that they've already given up on their dreams. And, that's why for them, they just can't get rich. And since they can't get rich, basically rich people just deceived others to make their money, or they, lied or something like that, or they did bad things and they're just greedy, right? This is what poor people say to basically discourage themselves from going on pursuing their own journey. They don't want to put in the work that it takes to accomplish their own reach their freedom lifeline and figure out what they're meant to be doing, because for them it's too much work. For them it's impossible. They've already made up their minds like, nah, not for me. By far the most important thing that you can learn if you want to be successful is to think for yourself. No matter what anyone tells you, no matter what I'm telling you here, right? Obviously I strongly encourage you to apply the principles that I'm teaching you because they can only help you, not hurt you. But the most important thing by far is to think for yourself. I mean, we've seen it just in the recent election here, in the United States. The media just like brainwashed everybody, right? The media, they're just constantly brainwashing people, and you meet people, you talk to people, and they're not thinking for themselves. They're just kind of regurgitating what the media told them, whether it was about one candidate or the other candidate, right? They don't form their own opinions. Most people, they do not think for themselves. They're just like sheep in a herd. They follow what everyone else is thinking, and it's really ridiculous, right? It's really ridiculous. And this comes, when there's a world crisis, like, the recent pandemic that we had. They were just allowing their minds to be literally rinsed, literally brainwashed, like with a shower head, literally like rinsed like that into like this fear-driven, permanent fear-driven state, right? Literally turned most people into drifters just like that. Poverty is always found among drifters, never among rich people. Rich people, to get rich, they had to actually become a non-drifter, meaning that they had to actually, focus on one thing, focus on one business, commit to their purpose in life. They had to decide what are they going to do with their life and how it's going to look like and how much money they're going to make. They had to be very, very concrete about this. And to get there, they had to think for themselves and they had to learn. They had to learn the principles of the most successful people. Of course, you can't get there without learning this mindset that you're learning right now in this transformational course here. And I'm so happy to have you here, by the way. But most of all, they thought for themselves. They used their own heads to form their own conclusions about things. Now, at the same time, it's easy to say, oh, Dan, okay, well, you're telling me to form my own conclusions, to think for myself. I think everything you're saying is bullshit, right? And I'm sure there's going to be people that say that. And my answer to that is, okay, there are two sides to this coin. So think for yourself, but at the same time, if you want something in life, let's say you want success and you want money, and a person who has made millions of dollars and who has built a multi-million-dollar business and who's gone through this own journey themselves, and they're not only making money, but they're happy, they're fulfilled, and they're living on their freedom lifeline, they're giving you advice and not expecting anything back, it would be damn foolish to not listen to it, right? So at the same time, it's important to evaluate people's credibility. It's important to understand, okay, if someone is telling me something, I'm going to use my own mind and my own brain to come up with my own conclusion about whether I believe this or not, whether I, whether I agree with that person or not. But at the same time, you must judge people's credibility. Like who are they, and are they living the life that you want to be living? Don't take advice from anyone who's not living the life you want to be living. It's like taking millionaire advice from poor people. right? Literally, it's the dumbest thing in the world, and so many people do it. Or taking life advice from people who their own lives are a complete mess. Don't do it. It's just stupid and wrong. In Outwitting the Devil, Napoleon Hill said that the two biggest weapons of the devil is that the devil plants the seed of fear and he plants the seed of negative thought in people. Those two things alone can turn most people into drifters. So really, if you want to become successful, you have to learn to conquer those things. And that is what this course here is really helping you with. Conquering that fear, conquering your limiting beliefs, conquering that negativity to show you that there is a freedom lifeline for you, that there is the good life waiting for you if you follow the steps, the proven steps that have made so many other people successful before you and are making so many other people successful now and in the future. If more people wanted to get rich and more people wanted to achieve their freedom lifeline, they wanted to make a ton of money, they wanted to, reach this amazing level of existence where just people are just like, wow, like how can I live like that? They must have gotten lucky. They must have gotten like spoon-fed by their parents or something, right? They must have gotten money from their parents, or like trust fund babies, right? You know what classic average people say, right? If more people wanted to get rich and more people wanted to improve their life, then as Napoleon Hill would say, not Outwitting the devil would have much fewer victims. There is one secret to getting anything you want, and it goes like this. If you know what you want and you're very clear about it, right? So if you want to make $1 million, you know you want that, and you're very clear about your intention of going and getting that $1 million, just as an example. And this can be anything, right? If you want a nice car, if you want that house, if you want to achieve a certain lifestyle, you want to be famous, you want to be a famous actor, for example, you want to be a famous musician, famous artist. As long as you know what you want, you're concrete about it, and you demand it, just completely, and back your demand by willingness to pay life's price for what it is that you want. You refuse to accept any substitute. It will transmute into its physical counterpart. If you are definite with what you want, you can make life hand over anything, but you must be willing to pay life's price for it, meaning that there's always a price to everything, right? Opportunity cost. Okay, so let's say you want to start a successful business. Well, that's going to involve you putting in the hours to start in front of your computer, and there's a price to pay, meaning the price of work and effort and commitment, where you're going to have to sit there and you're going to have to figure it out and learn. Right? Obviously, it can be sped up with mentors and things like that, and with like YouTube. But you're going to have to put that work in. Whether it's to learn, whether it's to do it, there is a price to pay. It's not just going to fall from the sky. And that's what I mean by life's price. If you're willing to pay the price, you'll get it. Another thing also is that if you want to become a non-drifter for life, if you want to achieve success, people who achieve success, and I can tell you, me personally, you have to almost become hard. Like, you really have to be a hard person. Like, you have to be hard. Why? Because life's tests, life will keep throwing tests at you, and it'll keep testing you. There's a saying that it's easier to climb up the mountain than it is to stay at the top. And I can tell you personally from my own success that it's very, very true. Most people nowadays are very, very soft. I mean, they're living very comfortable lives. Right nowadays, not like in the caveman days where we had to literally hunt. We had to fight off prey. We had to make sure that, we had shelter and we were safe. And every day was just a constant battle for getting a minimum amount of food just to survive. Right nowadays, what have humans evolved into? I mean, we're literally couch potatoes on TikTok, glued to these devices, and anything we want, I mean, it's just like literally, at the press of a button. That's all we need. And so that's why so many people nowadays are just miserable and inventing all these problems that humans didn't have before. The world has become a very soft place. And I can tell you that millionaires and billionaires have balls. Okay, that's really what it is. Millionaires and billionaires have balls. Whether they're men, whether they're women, metaphorically we can say the women have balls too. Okay, you have to have courage. Like I said, the average millionaire has more courage than the regular average person. So that means that you have to be hard. And this comes down to everything in life. Like, for example, for me, cold showers. Right, I love cold showers. And, working out, I wake up at 5 a.m. Not on all days. I'm a human being, right? So I make sure I get my sleep. But I wake up at 4 a.m., 5 a.m., and I go to the gym in the morning first thing. And, I come back, I take a cold shower, like literally, and I'm talking cold. I don't just mean a little bit. I put it on the coldest setting. And I've trained myself to do this. I train myself to do the things that are not comfortable, but that I know have a long-term benefit. One of the best things to do to remain a non-drifter once you've actually stopped the habit of drifting and once you've become concrete with what you want is to do things that are painful in the short term, but are rewarding in the long term. So for example, a cold shower, very painful in the short term, especially if you're not used to it. Your first cold shower will be a miserable experience. But in the long term, you'll have incredible benefits in your immune system. Your immune system will be stronger. You'll have better recovery for your muscles. If you're working out, you're going to the gym, you'll get sick less often. You'll feel a lot better throughout the day. But again, I'll remind you, in a world where the standards are so low, where people are just, not even like they're out in the world with their hands out. They're not willing to do the things that they need to do to deserve respect and success. In this world, it's really not that hard to achieve an amazing life and to achieve your freedom lifeline, because you only have to do just a bit more. Like I said, by following this transformational course and system here, like the system that I'm presenting to you, all these ideas that you're learning, your brain has already started this process of, being rewired. You might have not noticed, but you're already a different person than you were when you started this program. Especially if you watch the first few lessons, right? And that's because in the moment you don't notice the changes, but hindsight is 20/20. And in 3 months and 6 months and a year and a half, you'll look back. On average, there's like a statistic that it takes about 18 months to have a radical change in your life. And I can tell you, for me, it took 18 months for me to go from broke and starting my first online business, starting my first business, to becoming a millionaire. That happened to me at the age of 22. And I started my journey at 20. I was like halfway through 20, and so a year and a half after that, I was 22, and I'd already become a millionaire. And at the time when I was starting out, I was like, I don't care if it takes me 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, anything is worth it not to be a 9-to-5 mindless zombie slave for the rest of my life. Anything, right? And so I committed fully. I burnt my bridges, right? Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich says, burn your bridges. I was actually working a 9-to-5 job at the bank. I was wearing a suit, going to work every day. And, I thought that, wow, like I've really reached the peak of society here. I have a nice cushy job, at a young age, and I deserve respect. Only problem was I was broke. I was making like $40K a year, and I absolutely hated the job. I saw every day I came to work, my coworkers who have been there for like 5 years, 10 years. They were literally, and I know this sounds bad, but they were like corpses. They were like sitting there and just, there was no life in them. Seriously, these people, you could tell, they're just like dreaming of being on a beach somewhere. They're dreaming of being anywhere except in that office. And this was for one of the big banks in Canada. So, that's really what pushed me to start on this whole entrepreneurial journey. And back then, that's when I was reading these books. That's when I read Outwitting the Devil, and I learned about this concept of drifting. And that's when I also learned about this concept of burn your bridges. At the time, I was thinking, okay, I don't want to fully commit to entrepreneurship. Maybe I'm going to fail. So I'm just going to continue working my 9-to-5 job. And, if my online business succeeds, then I'm going to quit. Well, in Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, he said, burn your bridges. And when I came home one night, I told my mom, hey, I think I'm going to quit my job. She said, don't burn your bridges. Don't do it. And obviously that's like, what a rational person would say. It's totally normal. Like, don't burn your bridges. Don't just quit and leave. And definitely do not give the finger to your boss, which is what I did. When I left, I basically, gave him a nice middle finger because, everybody hated him. And he was mistreating people. He counted the minutes that I spent in the bathroom, by the way. That's how bad this was. And it was miserable. Like no one deserves to be treated like this. So that's what happened. And I burnt my bridges. And at that moment, I also dropped out of school. I realized I have no other choice than to become a successful entrepreneur. Now, does that mean that I'm telling you to quit everything and just become an entrepreneur? That's up to you. Honestly, that's up to you. Some people will choose to keep their current job. Maybe they don't find it that bad. And at the same time, they can start their business on the side. That's totally fine too. There's not only one way towards success. Everyone has their own unique journey to success. For me, I was just fed up with my job and I was ready to burn all my bridges, follow Napoleon Hill's advice, because I understood the motivation that would give me to succeed. But this is the choice that ultimately you have to make. I can tell you that it worked out for me because when I quit my bank job, I needed an income, and I was thinking, it got me to think about, okay, what can I do to make money, at least in an entrepreneurial way, until my online business takes off? And so I decided to start cleaning windows, even though I'd never cleaned windows before. It was me and my friend, we tried to do landscaping first, but there was a problem we realized when we got the lawnmower, and the lawnmower leaked gas all over the back of my Volkswagen Jetta, which is the car that I had. I didn't have a truck or anything like that. Obviously, I was 20 years old. So that's what happened. The lawnmower, we put it in the back of the Jetta, which it didn't fit, and then it leaked gas all over the back. So I'm like, okay, that's not going to work. So then we decided to do window cleaning. We could have said, we've never done window cleaning before. We're not window cleaners, screw this. But we said, no, we're going to figure it out. How hard can it be? How hard can it be? That's the attitude you have to life. How hard can it be to make $1 million? How hard can it be to make $1 billion? How hard can it be? Yeah, it's definitely not easy, but is it possible? Is it possible? That's the one question. Okay, if you ask me, hey, can I make $1 million next week? No. It's not going to happen. Can I make $1 million in a year, in 2 years? Yes, you can. Absolutely. And so, if it's possible, you definitely should go after it with definiteness of purpose. The great thing about success is that as you become successful, success multiplies with less and less effort. And I found that in my life as well. This is, again, the saying, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. It's just a fact of life. This is how it is. So the sooner you get onto your freedom lifeline, the sooner you get onto this journey, the easier everything will be. And the more you'll find that in hindsight, you're successful, you're becoming more and more successful every single day. And you might not see life changing, but your life is already, your mind is changing so much every single day. Your life is changing so much that in 3 months and 6 months, you'll look back and you'll be shocked at how much of a different person you are and how different of a life you're living, how much better of a life you're living. There's a law in nature for getting anything you want. It goes like this: know what you want, adapt yourself to my laws, and you shall have it. And by my laws, I'm talking about nature's laws, right? We can't go against nature. We can only go with it. That's the smartest thing to do. Now, one thing that's super powerful when, thinking about your future and really, as you kind of move towards your freedom lifeline, is to mix emotion with it. And, there's an exercise that I'm going to show to you, which is an exercise that I've been doing for the past several years of my life, since I started my entrepreneurial journey. I write my goals down every single morning in a notebook with pen and paper. I try it on my phone and it's not the same. There's something real about a pen and paper, It's like you really put it out there into the world, into the universe, right? And so when I write my goals down, I mix emotion with it. I imagine how good I would feel, the emotions that I'm feeling if I'd already achieved those goals, as if I achieved them now. This is kind of like The Secret. This is a book by Rhonda Burns. Highly recommend you read that one as well. It teaches you the law of attraction and how to manifest what you want. If you're asking me, is the law of attraction real? Absolutely. Why? How do I know? Every single goal, every single damn goal that I've written down in my book since the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey, I've achieved. Every single one. Every single one, no matter how ridiculous it was. You know what I wrote down when I had read The Secret in 2016 or 17? The Secret said, and I took action on it, it said to write down a goal that seemed so ridiculous but was possible. I first wrote down, I'm so happy now that I'm making $1 million by the age of 22. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm so happy now that I'm making $2 million by the age of 22. And at the time, that was like shocking to me. I'm like, this is this is crazy. So I wrote the goal down, and within 2 years, actually within a year and a half, I had made $2.5 million. So in hindsight, everything made sense. Cause and effect. I followed the sequence of events. I followed along my journey, and I got to that point where, I became a millionaire and I became successful. And not only did I become successful, but I achieved my freedom lifeline. I was traveling the world just like I'm doing now. I was, making amazing videos online, growing my company, growing my businesses, and everything aligned. And so what I was doing was I was writing down that goal every single morning along with a bunch of other goals, and I was playing super inspirational music. Like I was playing this amazing music. At the time, I was listening to a lot of like 80s music and classic rock and stuff like that. Just because, I don't know, I love that kind of music. I love all music, just depends on the mood. Actually, I'm going to link my playlist. I'll link like a visualization playlist down below, as well as all the other links that I talked about, all the other books you can get down below. As I mentioned before, no one's ever said on their deathbed, oh, I regret spending, that money on that book that I read. No one's ever said that. I can guarantee you that. So all the useful links that I talk about in this course, you can find down below. They're all neatly arranged for you there. So I'm also going to talk about this whole exercise of writing down your goals in one of the following lessons. So don't worry about this for now. I'm going to go in depth into my own goal and visualization routine that I've followed and that has made me successful, that has given me success beyond my wildest dreams, seriously. So I'm going to show you that, and it will work for you no matter who you are, no matter if you're a guy or girl, no matter what country you're from, it will work for you, I guarantee it. Now, one thing I want to remind you of is that success is always one step past failure in anything. And I can tell you that looking back at my own journey, it's very true. Most people, they get excited about a new venture they're doing or a new business, right? They get excited about a new career. They get excited about a new job, or they get excited about something new in their life. But then it only lasts up until the first obstacle, because people, like I said, they're soft and comfortable nowadays. They're not hard. They don't have this attitude of I can push through anything, and anything that life throws at me, I can push through, and it's just a test to see if I'm worthy of success or not. They don't operate by that mindset and that way of thinking. And so, most people, they give up right before success. Napoleon Hill actually also wrote a fantastic book on the subject. It's called 3 Feet from Gold. You'll find the link down below. And basically in that book, he talks about how success is always one short step past failure. And he compares it to the story, some gold miners in the Klondike Gold Rush, that, everyone went out there back in the day because everyone was, they wanted to get rich quick. They heard about the news that there was gold to be discovered. Most miners obviously never actually found anything because they gave up. Not because they never found anything, but because they gave up. If they continued searching, they would have found the gold. Right? And there were obviously miners who found the gold. The basic analogy is like you're a gold miner and you're mining and mining and mining, and you've done this for like a year and you're discouraged and you're just like, hey, I'm ready to pack up. Another miner comes by your spot and they're like, oh, okay, someone already started, I'm just going to keep going. And they literally like just strike it a few times and boom, they find gold. And so that's the perfect analogy. All success lies one step past failure. And anytime you're facing an obstacle, anytime you're facing this discouragement, and you will face discouragement. It's a natural part of life. We're humans, okay? And it's normal. It's normal to feel this way. Just know that success is one step past failure. You don't want to be the miner who stops 3 feet from gold. So that wraps up this lesson on the ultimate enemy of success, which is drifting. I recommended a lot of amazing books, including Outwitting the Devil, which really goes in depth in talking about drifting, breaking down the causes, what a drifter looks like, and how to stop drifting forever so that you can ensure success for yourself, so that you can achieve the freedom lifeline, so that you can achieve the good life, and you can start to live an amazing life. Those links are going to be down below. If you're enjoying this program, subscribe to the channel, then you'll be able to get notifications whenever I add a new lesson here to the course. Also, make sure to check out the playlist for the course if you haven't. Make sure you're watching one lesson a day. Make sure you're taking notes, and I mentioned this in the first lesson, but it's really important to have a notebook when you're watching this and take notes because, just because we're humans, most things we'll listen to, it'll fly one ear and out the other, and we'll only remember like 1 or 2% of everything that's been said. If you want success, if you want to achieve the good life, it takes commitment. You really have to commit 110%, and you have to also understand that the world is a competitive place. And, if you don't commit 110%, there is someone else right now who is watching this program, who is doing everything I'm saying, who's buying all the books, they're reading all the books, they're writing everything, they're following everything I'm saying very, very carefully and diligently. And obviously that person has the highest quote-unquote chance of achieving success. So make sure that you are that person. The amount of millionaires, the amount of people that will have their lives completely changed by this How to Make Your First Million course is going to be, it's huge. I already know it's going to be insane, and I want you to be part of those people. There's no reason why it can't or shouldn't be you. It should. So I want you to subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed this lesson, if you're enjoying the course, and also leave a comment down below. Tell me what was the most hard-hitting, life-changing concept or lesson that you learned in this specific video, in this specific lesson. Maybe it was something that you realized about how you've been drifting for a long time. Maybe it was about, how you realized that, wow, the people that I surround myself with, they're actually all drifters, right? You're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. So you really have to be careful when you're on your journey to success because you want to make sure that nothing is sabotaging you, nothing is stopping you from achieving your destiny. So make sure to leave that comment down below and tell me what was the most hard-hitting, the most life-changing concept or lesson that you learned here in this video. Also, I invite you to like my Facebook page, Dan Vas. Give me a link down below. I share the most important wisdom that I'm learning, the most significant life lessons as well there. And you can also have a chance to speak to me because I'm replying to comments on there. So, you can reply to any lesson on there. And if you want, you can ask me a question about your life. You can ask me a question about your business, whether you're deciding on like one certain business or the other. And if you have any question at all, right, and you want my advice, I communicate with people there. I talk to people regularly on there. I find it's the best ways to communicate. I also have an email list called the Freedom Email List, where I send out a weekly email with the most important life lessons, the most important books that I'm reading, and the most important things that I'm learning in my own journey to success, because mine is far, far from over. I still have many, many years in front of me, and I have a lot to share. And I fully intend on continuing to share that both here on YouTube and through that Freedom Email List and on Facebook and on my platform here. So thank you for watching. All the links are down below. Make sure to take action on all the action steps that I mentioned. Thank you once again, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day or evening if it's the evening. Thank you. I'll see you in the next lesson.